Hello guys, welcome to Speak Life.
So happy to be back for our second
Yes.
podcast.
Yes, second episode, you could say like that.
Yes, and thank you so much for all of the views and listens on our first one.
Yes.
We are very happy that it blessed you guys, and
So many people actually tune into it, and also nice to have all the comments that was there.
yes,
It was just very blessed to hear, and also just to blessed to know that people are interested
Yeah.
in what we have to say about our life, our marriage.
yes.
And I think that was really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So
So-
today we can talk about something. Tell us.
Yes, our topic for today is
Yes.
cultural similarities and differences.
And this was requested by somebody else from.
Yeah, Misotbem from Delhi, she
That's
asked
right. So
the
thank
question.
you for that. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Yes, and so today we are going to talk about culture, which is one of my favorite topics, I would say. I love to talk about culture. And I think we'll dive right in.
Yes.
Cultural, let's start with the differences,
Yes.
I think.
I mean, if we talk about like the differences, they are like crazy, right? Like I don't even
Yeah.
know how to start and where to start because there are so many things that are so different, yet it is also synchronized because we love Jesus.
Yes, so I think that's our basic similarity
Yes.
because that goes beyond culture.
That's
You know,
right.
following Jesus is definitely beyond, it's a different culture altogether, I would say. That helps, and we already talked about it last time, how important it is to have the same faith.
Yes.
But let's get into the differences, and I think, as you said, there are basically too many to count.
Yes.
I would say it's so different that we cannot even compare.
That's right.
Let's maybe start off with how we made it work, like in the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
When we first got to know each other, it was in Chennai, in South India. So I was not in my culture. You were not in your culture.
Yes.
We were in a third culture, so to
Yes.
say. Even though, for
Yeah.
those of you who don't know, yes, Chennai is also India, and Pame is from the northeast of India,
But
but
I
it's an entirely different culture.
Yeah. I mean, let me just quickly say, like, when I came to Chennai first time, we were very handful of, like, Northeast people. That's, like, 20 years back, you know? And people were even, like, surprised when I introduced myself that I was, an Indian. They couldn't believe that I was actually an Indian because I look so different from the mainland people from India. So anyway, let's catch up.
But, I have to say something to that as well, because
Yeah.
even when I came to India for the first time, I wasn't aware that there are Indians who look like you. And so I had a lot of Northeast friends as well,
Yeah.
because I felt like at least that culture, I could relate to the Northeast culture from the very beginning, even though it's different, but
Yeah. But
I loved all my Naga friends and, the people that I met from the Northeast. So,
Yeah.
this is also, I came to know for the first time when I came to India that there are people like you,
who look very handsome.
very handsome, and the girls are super pretty. Yes. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, I think also, India, if you look at India as such, it's like a continent. It's so big,
Yeah.
like the diversity and also the
Yes.
culture is so rich, and every state you go, they are very different. So
Yes.
when you come to the south, it's very conservative, I would say, compared to the northeast. And also, I think
Yeah.
maybe something that also help us or match or something that we can do things together is also because I think that, like, let's say my culture, like in the northeast and the Nagas, we are maybe more free and relaxed. We are not. There are certain things that we are very deep into the culture, like we are very traditional. But when it comes to lifestyle, I think we are more maybe relaxed and independent, and I think that also help us to maybe our relationship was kind of. Maybe they help our relationship because of that. What do you say?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. But let's still talk about the differences first, I would
Yeah,
say, because
yeah.
when we talk about the differences first, then we'll start on the similarities, or we'll end on the similarities,
I guess,
and that
yeah,
will be
yeah.
a
maybe,
better,
maybe
better
I
ending.
jump into too quick, I guess, in the
Yeah.
conclusion. Yes.
So the differences for sure is, let's start with family maybe,
Yeah. So like, can you tell, like, let's say me as a son-in-law coming to your family, right?
Yes.
What are the expectations? Let's say from your mom and dad, also from your brothers and from your sister, if you would say, or maybe you don't have to get into details, but like what are the expectations in general from the European or German family
to a son-in-law?
Yeah.
Well, to put it plainly, I think nothing. No expectations, because we are such an individualistic society and culture. It's really all about just me, myself, and I, which is not necessarily good, but I'm just stating the facts. We are very much concerned only about our own well-being. Of course, there are different families. It depends also on how a family in particular is doing things. But let's say in general, I grew up also very independent, making my own decisions very early on about like how I want my life to be, coming to India when I was really young, everything that I chose, what I wanted to study, what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, that is all on me. I only took those decisions. And my parents, they were okay with everything, They never said anything against what I wanted to do. And so it depends a little bit on the families. Some might influence more, some less. But in general, we make our own choices and our own decisions very early on. And that's why even when somebody else comes into the family, they don't really expect anything. Of course, they are happy if it's a nice person like you. We spoke about last time how you asked my hand from my dad, which he really appreciated because that's not generally done anymore. So, in that way, it's all up to us.
And I think with what you say, like the positive thing is that because you made your own choices, made decision like by yourself, even in a very young age, you grow so fast. You become more mature in terms of like, you know what I mean? In life skills and all of those. And
I guess.
At the same time, also the drawback could be also that because there's nothing much, guided by, let's say, by parents, that you can also make a severe or terrible like mistakes in terms of choices, right? So that's a positive
but
and
then also
negative.
hopefully you will learn from your mistakes. And that's the whole point that, yes, we will fail, we'll make mistakes, and we will realize, oh, this is really on me. I made that choice and I have to bear the consequences for good and for bad.
And I'm so glad that you made the right choice.
Yes, me too. Absolutely. Right choice.
Yes, if not, we wouldn't have met in the first place if we haven't made that right choice,
That's right, absolutely.
So,
so about your family, you can say like expectations from a daughter-in-law or anyone who joins the family.
Yeah, I mean, as you have already shared in the beginning that we were blessed that we were not living in my town, I would say, right? Or to my state in the beginning of our marriage. If that was the case, I think it would have been a disaster, because there are a lot of expectations. Like as a daughter-in-law from the parents-in-law, they would have a lot of expectation. And some of them are spoken, some of them are unspoken, right? So, and sometimes
that's the tricky part.
I think the unspoken ones are the most difficult one, because they expect something from you and then they are not communicating to you. And so they assume that you would do certain things or you would know certain things. And when you don't execute those expectations, it can really hurt you, and also it can damage the relationship. Now, I'm not saying this in a general or in a way that pointing on somebody else, but we have seen that also, or heard those kind of stories, So, like you coming as a, daughter-in-law, and I think the first thing that they expect from you is that you serve them, right? That you serve them, you get up maybe earlier, or, that they made tea, you made tea for them, or like serve, not necessarily making tea, but also in general that you are expected to help them in the house, like daily chore. And I think, again, coming from very interesting background or a very independent background, you don't think of those in general. Well, I'm not now saying like in the Christian home, that's not what it is. Most of I think coming from a Christian home would maybe do it.
Servanthood should be a lifestyle, but then again, and also, we might not necessarily think of it sometimes.
Yes, and also like generally like they would dictate. Like, again, now you come from independent and now you come into, let's say, to a culture like me, and then maybe most of the time the in-laws will start to dictate like what you should be doing you know, certain things. In some case, like it's too much that they will even dictate like what to wear. And I think that's also crazy.
That is crazy because if I think about it, for example, in my culture, it would be, you know, sometimes when you serve someone, yes, it can be an act of love, but also the person who is served, sometimes if they're really independent, they would think, don't you think I can do this myself? Like, who do you think you are? Like, it could be completely viewed in a different way. Or even like from a time that we are young, kids already, we start choosing what we wear ourselves. Like our parents don't say at all. So if suddenly somebody would tell me what to wear, how to behave, that would go against everything that I am, you know? Or it would be extremely difficult to deal with this, you know? So I think what really was the best decision for us was that we were not in your place and also not in my place. And we are not saying that this is wrong, not at all. But when it comes to culture, it's never right or wrong. It's just that it's different. But because I'm not from your culture, and as you said, the unspoken expectations, the things that I'm supposed to know because, you know, I grew up there or whatever, I would have not fulfilled any of those,
and
right?
that could have been a disaster, even not necessarily among the in-laws, but also it could also harm our relationship as well.
Yes.
You know, if we're not careful.
Yes.
You know, so, but again, like the reason why I'm saying about these things also, like when in-laws are expecting you or telling you certain things, sometimes it's not necessarily for their benefit, but it's also it's a kind of like helping you to get into the system, to get into the culture.
Yes.
And many times when it can misunderstand.
Yes,
you know, because
I understand.
like you are not used to like somebody telling you or expecting you to do things, and then suddenly it is expected, and sometimes it's communicated. You feel like, am I here to serve? Am I here to, you know what I mean? Am I a servant or am I here to be used by the family? It can be misunderstood.
Yes.
And that can also, you know, cause a lot of problem.
Maybe even make me bitter, you know, bitter towards your family, bitter towards you even, you know, why didn't you tell me or something like that. So we avoided all of that by not living in either place. And I think that was so amazing because we could, first of all, really get to know each other. As we already said in the last podcast, the first year of marriage was already hard enough because we had to get to know each other.
You brought the worst and the best of me.
Yeah,
and
so
the
same
vice versa.
So I think it was really good. We really could get to know each other without any outside influence, any expectation, anything that we had to fulfill. And we could really establish who we are as a couple, as a married couple. And then also, once the kids came along, who we are as a family, who are the Shimreis. What is our culture, our family culture, and we could establish that.
And that was very important.
And once we moved to your place,
it was much easier.
We already knew who we are, and it was a very different thing.
And also, let's say, talking about the differences, food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, food is something like, I mean, something, right? Like, let's say, like any European would say, like a German, since I'm talking about you and me, you know. You would like kind of expect that I would like cheese, for example, or I would like, you know, all kind of stuff, right?
Wow.
And because you grow up with it, you grow
bread.
up. Yes,
bread is our main thing.
So you think like everybody would love it, everybody would like it, not in general, you know, that everybody will appreciate it, right? And but again, coming from like a Naga background, you know, we eat only rice with every rice and curry, rice and other things, right? And I also like kind of expect that, okay, you would also like rice. For example, like my father-in-law, I mean, so sweet of him to say, many years ago, he told me, Pambe, I can live my life with only rice.
He said,
for the rest of my life,
I can eat rice every day.
Yeah, for the rest of my life.
I like it so much. My dad said, yes.
And then he came to India, and then he happened to eat a lot of rice. And
every day.
After that, he told me, even now, like a few weeks ago, he said, Pambe, I think I made a mistake to say that because I realized that I cannot eat with rice, you know? Only rice for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I think like, so that's one thing. you know, I mean, I'm also very good with adjusting and all, which is not a problem. But I can eat rice, I can eat bread, I can live, you know, that's okay. But I think we're talking about more than just rice, talking about like fermented stuff, like especially in the Naga area, you know,
Yes.
like let's say Teishui in Dangkul, Akhoni in, I think, Angami, I think, or Sema, I'm not sure, but it's somewhere in the...
Fermented soybeans.
Yes, fermented soybean, which is like somebody said.
I have a
No,
story with that.
But I have to say this. Somebody said it smells like shit, but it tastes like heaven. Somebody said that. So
Okay.
I'm sorry for the bad word, but somebody said that, and it's true. Like if you can get away with the smell, even bamboo shoot. It is awesome. It depends on also who cook and how they cook.
Yes.
It can be really good. But
since I first came to India, I went to the south, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing for me was, let me start with that, the spice, right? Germans don't use spice in general.
Yeah.
By now, we know lots of people who are into spice and everything.
which is...
We always find each other. But
Yes.
at that time, certainly I was not used to anything. We use herbs, salt, and pepper. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So when I came to South India for the first time, I remember the first week, like the few first meals that I had, and how they said, they didn't use any chili, and they really like reduced the spice because they know some foreigners were there.
Yeah.
I thought my mouth is gonna burn off. It was on fire. I couldn't handle it. Of course, I got sick and all kinds of things. And I thought, how is this not spicy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then eventually I got used to it. But it's mostly rice and dal and, like South Indian food, which I do love. But then again, as you said, the Northeast food is again different. Yes, rice is there, but even the rice is different. The rice that you eat in your place is quite different from the rice in South
like
India.
basmati rice, Basmati rice in general is more lighter. It's easy to digest. The one we get in the local are more heavy. And people prefer that because it sits in their stomach longer so they can work harder and
makes
longer.
sense.
So,
makes sense. Yeah, so, there is a lot of things in the Northeast that I have tried almost everything, I would say.
Well, talking about, let's count what you have tried, like weird stuff from the Northeast.
Okay, a bee larva, then frog.
Frog, yes.
Silkworms.
Silkworms, yes.
What else? Snails.
Snails. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course bamboo shoot and...
Oh yeah.
But you wouldn't say that's weird.
But I have to say, the first time I ever smelled the fermented soya beans was also in Chennai, because there are some Naga girls, and sometimes they received a parcel from the Northeast and they would get so excited, right? And I still remember exactly, I was sitting outside and then somebody, and I didn't know, somebody was opening a parcel on the side and suddenly I got that smell of like, I mean, excuse me, but I thought it's like cat poop or something like that.
Somebody farted.
So I was like, what in the world is happening, And then I came to know this is what,
sorry, no offense, guys.
No offense, because in the end, when I started trying it, I love it, And as you said, if you can get over the smell, and then in fact, once you know what it is and you started liking it, that smell doesn't really bother you anymore because you're like, I'm going to eat that,
I have to interject. Like talking about cheese. Like cheese, like for example, for any European who love cheese, they think it smells good. Right?
Yeah.
Because it tastes good.
Yeah.
Because, that's how you grow up with.
Yes.
But like somebody like from India, from the other country, like who doesn't eat all kind of fermented stuff.
Yeah.
It'd also be weird for them. It's
Yeah.
like, but most of the European will not agree with that.
Yes.
But
it's so true.
It's like a socks. The smell of the socks.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yes.
again, if you get away with that mind thing, then it tastes really good. I mean, I ate the most smelly cheese.
Yes.
The most like smelly one.
Yes.
And I love it because it has a really good taste of that.
There are very smelly cheeses and like blue cheese, which is basically a fungus, kind of mold inside.
Yeah, it's really good.
So we also have our weird food, I would say.
Yeah.
And, we just have to sometimes overcome. I would always say, like, at least try it before you say, I don't like it. I think having an openness towards things that are different from your own culture, and that goes for everything, not just food. Being open to other cultures is only going to enrich you.
I think like when we have this expectation of, or this, what is it called?
Mindset or?
Yeah, mindset of certain things. And then when that is not fulfilled, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you go to a culture, other culture, and then you expect that it has to be this way and that way. That it will never work. It will never, even relationship as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you have this certain expectation, it's very hard.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have this open mind, so that you can really enjoy the most. For example, in Ukrul, if you want to go somewhere, you cannot only focus on getting there on time. Because on the way you will meet like 10 or 15 people.
Yes.
And you will stop for 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Yes.
As you go, you talk. And sometimes they will even invite you for tea.
Yes.
And I think, and also it's nice to sometimes to break that, like the thing of like, I need to be on time, you know? But just really be spontaneous. And at the end of the day, it become one of the most interesting or most precious experience to just hang out with people.
I think this is a very good point. Time and punctuality is another huge difference.
Yes. Let me just say, for us, time is important, but people are more important. If you look in the culture as a whole.
I tell you very honestly, I had to learn.
Yes.
Because I come from a place, Germans are known for that.
Yeah.
We are too much
on time
towards punctuality and on time. And it's ingrained to us from the time we are young.
Yeah.
Like being on time, let's say you have a meeting at 8. Being on time doesn't mean you're there at 8. That's already late.
That's right.
You have to be there at least 5 to 10 minutes early because then you have to set up things so that actually by 8 sharp, you can start the meeting.
Yeah.
So this is how we grew up, you know, with all of that expectation. And then coming to India, of course, it's like the shock of my life. Another shock of my life. Everything is delayed.
Yeah.
I think never
even
ever.
Even the wedding can go up to like 1 hour delayed or even more.
I remember also one instance where when we were still in Chennai, we were invited to a birthday party, and the kids were still small, and it was supposed to start at 5 p.m. And I remember we were getting ready, and I realized, oh my goodness, we're going to be a few minutes late. So I better inform them. We are going to be a few minutes late, right? So I informed them we are going to be late for a few minutes, and sure enough, I think we reached maybe 5.
At the most,
maybe not even, like, let's say 5 minutes late. By the time we arrived, nothing was even set up, right? Yeah. So there was not even, the balloons were not blown up, the chairs were not arranged. So in that way, I was the one who was really embarrassed. Yeah. But still, it is hard for me, even today, to arrive late.
Yes.
I just cannot do it. Something inside of me is kind of pushing against
the German DNA.
Yes. But I do have to say, when we moved to Ukrul is when I really learned it even more, I really let it go into my heart, because one thing is here in the head, you know it, but I really let it go to my heart because I found the beauty in it. As you said, time is important, but people are more important. Yes. And I think this is something that I'm still learning, but I love it so much. Yes. Like always taking the time for people.
Yeah.
So I might be doing something, but if I get interrupted by someone, and it doesn't really matter who that is, whether it's someone I love or it is a stranger, that I allow that interruption and I allow that person to connect with me. Yeah. And I think this is the human experience in its purest form. Yeah. Connecting with one another, relating, having a heart to heart. It doesn't always have to be super deep, but just letting the other person know, yes, I have time for you. Because now that we are in Europe, back in Germany, we realize how hectic everything is, fast.
We have to go from one to another, like one appointment to another appointment, which is very different. So anyway, talking about it, I think this is what Jesus did, when he was here on earth. It was all about Jesus, all about people. Even though he was so busy with so many things, but he took time to spend time with people.
Always.
And I think this is what we need to do in life. Even, of course, now that we are back in Germany, living here, but I think we should always let this ingrain, like learning from this culture, rich culture from Ukrul. For not saying that this is bad here, but the culture from Ukrul, from Ukrul, the Tangkul culture, but also it is very biblical. In terms of making people the most important thing or the most important in our life. Yes. And I think we should always keep that in mind. I think that is super, super important.
Yes.
So I think, of course, we, learning from all these differences, we also try to be very intentional, with people. And this is something I mean, it's also our heart, right? We always
Yes.
have people, like, for example, in Ukru, we always have people over for party. We invite people and eat together.
Yeah.
Those are really, really important.
This
I
is
miss
very
that.
important.
Do you miss that?
Yeah, I miss it very much.
Yeah.
And this is also something, where we established our own culture also as a family. What do we want and what do we stand for as a family? But I think people, for us, it definitely, we always say it and we also really want to live it, that people are the most important thing.
Yeah.
That we always take the time for them because
Yes.
it communicates something, you
Yes,
know.
yes.
And one of the things that I want to mention in that, it's not really having to do with culture. I think it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's the phones, how they are distracting us also
Yes.
from connecting with people. And so, we can make probably another podcast about
Yes,
phone
phones,
usage.
yes.
But what I want to say is, when you are with people, really pay attention to the people that are in front of you. And because it also communicates something when I'm on my phone and I'm with people, I communicate that this and whatever's happening here is more important than you. And so this is something that we are also learning and we are trying to practice.
Yes.
So people are important.
Yes.
And this is one of the... Okay, let me mention one more thing and then we can move on to the next one. It's not that people are not important in Germany, but many times the task at hand takes priority.
Yes.
We want to finish things in time and, quickly. We don't want to waste our time. And sometimes, unfortunately, we see people as a waste of time or a distraction.
Not important. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's not that we don't love each other, but when I'm doing something, please don't disturb
Again,
me.
it's the culture.
Yes.
It's a culture thing. We're talking about culture
Yes.
differences. So how people do things in different culture. And again, if you look at both culture, both are right. For people
their
here,
own
it's
way,
because task is important for them to
Yes.
earn money, to bring money. Again, it's about surviving, able to live our life, And at the same time, in Ukru, it's all about relational. So things like
And
that.
people here
Yeah.
have that understanding among each other. They will not get offended.
Yes, exactly.
But now, from an outside perspective, we can maybe bring something else to it. And
Yes.
that's the thing about having a cross-cultural marriage or relationship. We can, take from different cultures and establish our own.
Exactly,
So
and
this
that's
is
what we do in
actually
our
a
house.
benefit.
Yes. So even just quickly, and then we can move on to something else. But with the phone thing, we are so distracted. We sometimes into the phone and things like that. But I think one of the things that is so important is that we have to be present with the person that we are with. So sometimes it's good to just keep away and then really enjoy that conversation, enjoy that relationship, because life is all about relation. It's all about people.
Yes, it's
if
all
we
about
don't have people, we have no one.
Yes,
And
that's very
life
true.
is boring.
Yes.
So there's so many things. Yes.
What about like clothing and stuff? I think with
Well, again, we cannot talk like general in India because it's very conservative. Like South India, you need to wear sarwar,
Sari.
sari and all kind of stuff. But when you come to the Northeast, fashion is something very big.
Very
and I think that's why
important,
you also get you blend in so well because you love fashion.
Yes.
And also people from Ukru, they love fashion. And you see like people really dress up well. The only time you will see them not dressing like the let's say the modern style is they would wear like traditional
Which
dress
is beautiful.
on Sunday
Sunday
and
to
also
church.
any event.
Yeah.
But again, very modern in a way they dress up. And I really love that. It's so rich in culture. You come to church and you really taste the culture.
Yes.
Right?
And I love the traditional outfits.
And that's why you're wearing one.
Yes, exactly.
Gongsang,
This is
yeah.
Gongsang. This is a gift from our pastor and his
Yes.
wife, and it's just I love the traditional dress for women, for men, the shawls, you know, all of those, because I mean, I do have to talk about Tangkul, of course, all the other tribes and things. It's also beautiful, but I particularly love the Tangkul colors and patterns because it's just vibrant.
Yes.
It's really bright.
It's very colorful, yeah.
Yes, and what I love so much, and I unfortunately don't know much about it, but there is a meaning behind pretty much every pattern.
Yes.
And then certain, let's say, shawls or things like that, only married women can wear.
Only men can wear. And
only men can wear. Only if you come from the royal family, you can wear.
Yes, certain, yes.
Things like that. So there's so much meaning behind even the patterns, the weaving style. And I hope that this will never get lost. Like, I really, really hope that they can continue.
I have to quickly shout out to my friend Jihan, because he mentioned in one of the podcasts he was doing with Lung Leng Show, I think, that he said, like, when he went to America and people, or somewhere in the other country, and then when they have to wear their own traditional dress and they came with their jersey, you know, like football jersey and stuff like that, because they lost it. And I'm not looking down on other culture, but that's why he decided wherever he goes, he wears this tangkul muffler.
Yes.
He goes around and being very proud of being tangkul.
Yes.
And I think for us, like, we are, as a tangkul, as Naga, we are so rich with our culture. Not only things that we do, dance, folk song, and all of those, but also our dress is very, very well preserved. And we are so proud. So we have worn that in Switzerland when we went to Christmas market.
Yes.
And also I carry my haura. Because it's important for me. Wherever I go, I carry my traditional either vest or muffler or even shawl.
Because it's your identity, and I think that's so beautiful.
That's who I am.
And remember, in Switzerland, one of the ladies came to you and asked you about it because it's standing out so much. It's so different that she came and she wanted to know what this does this signify, where's this from. So you even get into conversation with people.
And I think also because it's so bright, I think it makes you also cheerful, I guess.
True.
Yeah, because it is so bright, like colorful, right?
Yes.
So you cannot not like smile when you wear this such a nice, bright, colorful, haura. Yeah.
And for me also, I feel very, blessed and privileged that I'm able to wear such beautiful kashans and, things like that. That's the wraparound. Because I'm not originally from this culture, but I'm so welcomed
and any tangkul,
received.
But any tangkul would say you're tangkul because you're married to tangkul.
So that's beautiful. Yes. I love that, you know. And
taking into the culture.
Yes,
to the family.
And I always say outside I might be German, but in my heart I'm tangkul.
That's true.
And that's so amazing that they have really accepted me, even though I look different, but when I wear it, they are happy about it.
Yes,
they don't feel offended.
They
will say,
proud.
You're an outsider, why do you wear our dress? Yeah. It's not like that.
Most
so
of the
happy.
time, Christine, you look so beautiful with this dress.
Yeah, and they love it. And of course, I feel, that the Tangkul girls or the Naga girls, when they wear their own dress, they are much more beautiful because, it's maybe not made for my...
Comparison is not something what you do.
Yeah,
we're talking about the cultural differences, and we don't compare with, like, he's more beautiful or handsome, or because it doesn't work like that. Because for me, you are the most beautiful person on earth.
Aww, I love you.
And that matters.
Yes. So I really love that.
Yeah.
That we have that, and for us Germans, we also do have a traditional outfit.
Yes.
But we don't really wear it anymore.
You wear it in the Oktoberfest.
We wear Oktoberfest is very famous, obviously, and it's not only happening in Munich. There are Oktoberfests everywhere. And there they wear, for the girls, it's called Dirndl, and for the guys, they wear like a lederhose. Yeah, that's like a short leather pants with like a checker shirt. I look
funny with that, so.
You have never actually worn it. Yeah. So that's like a traditional dress, but we really only wear it for like the beer festival, you know? So we don't wear it on a day-to-day basis. And for us, it's, comfort and
Anyway, so talking about all the differences, but I think how let's say two person coming together like us, how will it work? In a marriage like so different.
Yes.
What would you like suggest on that? Because cultures are so different.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, going back to the main important thing is that we have the same base, the same foundation.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't want to say it's never going to work, but it's going to be super difficult.
Yeah. So for our foundation is Jesus. Rooted in Christ. Yeah.
Yes, rooted in Christ, both of us. And then the next thing is having that open mindset of wanting to learn and understand from the other. Because if I go into this marriage or any relationship for that matter, but let's talk about our marriage. If I go into it and say, well, I know it better, because that's how we do it. That's how the Germans do it. And we are very efficient. You know that. The Germans have figured it all out. And to be honest, I was like that in certain areas, you know.
But that is a recipe for disaster.
It is a recipe for disaster because if I go into any situation like this, first of all, I put myself above you and I don't let you bring in anything from who you are, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wrong. I have to go into any situation and say, okay, maybe this is how we do it. How do you guys do it? Let's find how we can do it best together.
If not, it will not work. Any relationship will not work. You know, if we just pinpoint each other and, you know, like pointing each other fault is the worst thing you can do in any relationship.
Yeah.
That could be in the husband and wife or, you know, even any kind of friendship. If you just keep pointing the worst of other person or other culture, I think it will never work.
And
I think
works.
one of the good point is also you learn to appreciate the other culture.
Yes.
I think this is so important. When you appreciate it, I think it started to maybe something that you started to like and love the culture because you started to appreciate it.
Yes.
You know, it's again positive thing. You
and
know?
you can improve yourself. And you know, I also explain it sometimes like that to my kids.
Yeah.
Let's say we have a dice.
Yeah.
And the dice on your side, you look at the dice like this, it's blue color.
Yeah.
I look at the dice, the same dice, but it's on my side, it's red color.
Yeah.
So I will say to you, well, the dice is red, can't you see?
Yeah,
like, what is
blue.
wrong with you? And you will say, what?
Something is
Like,
wrong with you. It's blue.
Your eyes are wrong or what? It's blue. So we can never just stay in that one perspective.
Exactly.
We have to, if let's say the dice, if that is a fixed dice, then we have to actually move around. I have to come to your side, to your perspective, and look at it from your viewpoint. And you have to do the same.
Yeah.
That's very important. Both of us have to shift perspective.
Yes.
It doesn't work if only one does it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if none
It has
does
to be
it.
both.
Yes.
So both should be willing to work to understand and to appreciate each culture.
Yes.
That is like food, dressing, like, you know, like a traditional dress. It could be anything, the way of thinking, the way we brought up.
Yes.
You know, and all of this has to be willing to appreciate and also look from
adjust.
the different and willing to look from the different perspective.
Yes.
And I think and willing to adjust. Adjustment is like a huge topic.
From both sides.
Yes.
It never works only from one side.
It has to be from
cannot
both.
expect
And I
one
mean,
person
the
to
fact,
adjust.
that's the reason why our marriage works so well, because both are willing. And of
Yes.
course, we both have our weakness, you know, we have our shortcoming.
Yeah.
But we both were, from the beginning, were willing and still is willing to work.
Yeah.
You know, because again, marriage is a surprise thing. Like, you know, you never know, like, there are always new things. You know what I mean? Something that something that it's new in a sense that I have not discovered yet. You know, and every day is a adjustment. Every day is a new day. You know,
with new challenges. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think whatever we talked about today, it also applies to someone who comes either from the same country or even from the same culture. Because each family, again, you have a different upbringing, and whether you come, you know, from entirely different continents, cultures, backgrounds, whatever, or even from the same culture, different families, you would have been brought up in a different way. A little bit at least. There are unspoken expectations, again, even within the same culture. So I think it applies to literally everyone to some extent.
Yes.
Because we both have to be willing to learn from each other, adjust, bring in who we are. I would say definitely be proud of where you come from, be proud of your culture, but don't put the culture above the relationship.
That's right. So anyway, we can just talk one last thing and then we can stop with this.
Yes.
So I think in order because we're talking about differences, the culture differences, right? In order to live in harmony, in unity, it could be between the spouse, between, you know, friends with different, you know, culture. How would you suggest, like, what can they do to live in harmony? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for us, we communicate. And I think communication is, again, key, right? We communicate each other, you know, telling how I feel, not to point out the worst of you or the worst of your culture, but just communicating honestly.
Yes.
I think that's
Also,
important
like in,
key.
we call it the I messages, like from my perspective, how do I see things, and
or
not
how you feel.
you did this, you but really, I feel like this, or it makes me feel like this. I think that's important. And for us, also, one of the things I guess that helped us was that we both didn't speak in our own mother tongue.
Yeah.
So my mother tongue is German, your mother tongue is Tangkul. And so we both had to speak again in a third language, which was good for us because it didn't put any of us in at an advantage.
Yes.
We both spoke in a different language.
And also we live in a third culture, you know, so like in Chennai, so we also both were learning the culture together.
Yes.
So we were like in the same flow or same path, you know, same journey.
Yes.
So that was a big thing,
So this is what worked for us, I would say, and we are very grateful for our journey and excited for what's ahead. So I think, we spoke about the differences, also some similarities, but I think
also solution.
Just to come back to the main similarity is just that we both love Jesus.
Yeah.
And we both want to follow him, and we want to live a life that's pleasing to him. We want to have a family that brings glory to God. Yeah. And not that we always do. As we said, we have shortcomings, we are learning, but we both want the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. And you have to have a vision for your family, right? You have to know who you are as a family and where you're going. And that goes beyond culture.
Yes, that's right. So
for
us, it's all about Jesus. Matthew 5:16 says, let your light shine before people and let people see Christ in you, Father in you, that they will glorify him.
Amen.
And that's what our life is all about.
Amen.
Just to glorify him in everywhere, wherever we go, any place. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's,
Give me a high five.
It's a little bit about culture. I hope it's going to bless you guys. Keep the questions coming and we'll talk more next time.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I really appreciate that you're following, and I would really request you to share and also follow our channel, this new channel, Speak Life, and also share with your family and friends, because I know that things that we talk about, I think it will be beneficial for so many people, maybe to your family, also friends around the world. So
for sure.
Thank you again for joining us, and
see you next time.
Hey,
bye.
Bye-bye.